So the next thing we wanted to talk about was another combination of things to do with our gastroscopy curriculum, which we think are relevant to stimulate a discussion. The first part of it, and there are about 3 parts of it. The first part of it is, what do you need to be a trainer in gastroscopy? So this is maybe something, David, that we can get you involved in. What do people say when we ask them that, experts? So first of all, their first question was, well, when should a procedure not be done, potentially, by a trainee? So one of the answers was that the trainee needs to be willing and enthusiastic to do the procedure. I think that's a fair enough comment. That they need to potentially be able to fulfill the theoretical prerequisites and have done some training on simulation models. That potentially they can start training when the mentorship and arrangements have all been made. But when should they not start a procedure? So if they're not in the right stage of training, people said, maybe if they are, and I think NYHA class is very specific, maybe, but any sort of comorbidity scale, maybe ASA scale is a more appropriate thing to say. So that we should not be starting with patients at very comorbid potentially. That they should not be treating patients or scoping patients who have undergone eventful gastroscopies in the past, and that the patient, of course, needs to be willing to be being scoped by a trainee. I mean, I don't know whether we have just a discussion briefly, but how many people here have done a gastroscopy that they thought they potentially shouldn't have been doing because they was a little bit out of their comfort zone during their career? Can someone tell, maybe Shamaz, can you tell a little bit about the experience, or anyone who's got a story ready to do it?
Oh yeah, we had to do on-call service for pediatric emergencies, which we have never seen before, and were never trained to do so. So the training was that you are now, but I say this because I already have heard the same story from a lot of other as well. So it's not a unique thing.
Yeah, I think, as you said, like the first at least 100 gastroscopies, if I was left alone, which I think I was after my 5th one, almost. If someone had a bad experience, or usually very young, stressed out patients felt uncomfortable before starting, and got even worse once it got going.
And so what you're saying is the quality of that examination was potentially, for you, as you might look back, suboptimal.
Yeah. Visualization, trying to go as fast as you could, but actually not visualizing anything, I think.
What about therapeutics? Because you talked about pediatrics, but in the space of GI bleeding, is that something that you have, as trainees, have felt that you are comfortable doing? Sophia, say that I now say to you, because you're nearly a consultant, right? So you'll be a consultant in how long?
3 years.
No, 1 year.
1 year, right? So you'll be a consultant in 1 year. So do you think in 1 year you'll be happy to just be on a GI bleeding rota, and that will be a comfortable situation for you to be in?
Not at all. I watched some GI bleeding with my tutors in Italy, and some situations are very, very difficult. For example, when an anesthetic team is not present, and when we find an ulcer in duodenum, so with an unstable position, it's very difficult to treat it.
Scott, any views about, because we are talking about what trainees should not be doing on their own, right? So this would therefore not be a trainee, but that is, say that Sophia is now told by me, oh, just go to the emergency department and sort that bleeding out. It's not appropriate because she doesn't have the skills to match the job, right? And I think that's not meaning to be offensive to anyone. That's simply the fact that experience is important, and having seen these things and understanding what they are. And a lot of people struggle not only with the technique, but identifying the fact they need to do something or not. And that's what that talk was about. Any other things where people think that trainees, and now you don't have to have your experience, but David, do you have anything where you feel that trainees should not be starting procedures in the upper GI tract?
Yeah, I think stuff that is very complicated, or if, for example, the procedure is, you've only got one chance at it. It's someone, for whatever reason, because we've been waiting until they're well enough to do the procedure, or they're off their anticoagulation and it's going to be a difficult, whether it's a resection or something. I think that's not really fair unless you've sort of said to the trainee, look, you can go in and just have a look, but then the actual therapeutic part of it is going to be done by someone else. So I think you just got to be careful with that at early stages. But I also believe that trainees can take on any case of any complexity if they've got a supervisor with them that can guide them and explain to them, and not teach them by just taking the scope and saying, here, watch me, but actually be able to explain what to do and what steps to take.
I think that's a critical point, but that supervising person in that situation must be present, obviously.